Alright, what up my Gummy Knights? And so look, this is not a video that I kind of want to make, and I'm not somebody who basically does this. But every so often you are going to get those content creators who deserve a second video to be made about them, and Nux Taku is one of those. Now look, I already previously made a video about him, and hopefully this time people actually, well, watch the entire video rather than saying something stupid like, oh, I don't know, Nux Taku is your partner, even though he completely making the video debunking him. Yeah, let's hope that people don't sit there and do something like that again, and actually just go ahead and listen and hear the video all the way. Now look, I understand that Nux Taku is kind of a meme, and he kind of presents himself as a meme, and even throughout this video, he's basically saying that, hey, I just want to stir the pot, this is why I did this thing, and people basically bought into it. However, my point of contention isn't that. I completely understand the whole idea of wanting to be a meme, and I completely understand the idea of wanting to be satirical, make satirical videos, stuff like that, but not every video he makes is satirical, not every video he makes is trying to provide legitimacy to a meme, or whatever. Some of the videos that he makes are indeed serious, and hell, even within the videos that he is meant to be satirical, there are things that you are meant to take seriously, such as his point of contention when he's basically asking and suggesting the whole idea of, well, who do you trust more than Miriam? Miriam being a character from My Hero Academia. If you guys didn't know that, his picture will be on screen right now. Basically, as he's explained throughout the video, which for the most part can agree with and can understand, he's essentially applying the idea that he's just putting out a meme there and people took the bait and he just wanted to see what kind of fire he can bring. However, he does try to make a legitimate and serious point of contention towards why somebody who posted to him a Goku idea of who do you trust more, because that is the whole purpose of his question to ask, well, who would you trust more? He clearly shows his fundamental lack of knowledge of Dragon Ball stuff again, so yes, as the resident Dragon Ball shield, I must come and combat his points of contention because they are just objectively wrong, and whereas I necessarily again don't really want to do this, I kinda have to in a way, because I hate when big YouTubers spread misinformation about characters, and I hate to become super repetitive in this video, but yes, it does really show a clear lack of knowledge and understanding of Dragon Ball. And look, he's pretty much admitted this in the past. You can watch his other videos in regards to Dragon Ball. He's pretty much admitted that he virtually knows nothing about the series, doesn't really care about the series, and it's not something that is a pastime of his that he enjoys or partakes in to that extent to where he would understand even the basic and fundamental things about Dragon Ball. And I'm not sitting there saying that he can't grasp the most simplistic concepts when it comes to the series, if you were to boil it down to its most simplistic concept, which would be a bunch of muscly dudes fighting each other, sure. But it's the reasoning behind why he gives that, oh well, ha 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 ha, you can't trust Goku because this, that, and the third. It's basically the layer and the underlying theme or idea is that this is meant to be taken seriously with the points of contention that he's laying off. However, he's trying to put it in the air of a joke or trying to be sarcastic because his response, his answer to the person's rebuttal to him or the person saying Goku or whatever, is what he's coming against, right? That's the point of contention, right? He comes in with this air of sarcasticness. He's like, oh, ha, 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 you're a complete idiot if you think that Goku's a better guy to trust or whatever. But I'm not going to sit here and actually debate because, again, I understand what he's doing there with the whole satirical nature of who would you trust more. And whereas I can say, personally, from a personal standpoint, I would trust Goku more than I would trust Miriam. I mean, no offense, I can give a host of reasons, but really I want to focus on him right now because that's what I'm refuting here. Maybe if you guys want a video like that about why I trust Goku so much, or just any video about Dragon Ball, or hell, even My Hero Academia, I am not one of those guys who hates My Hero Academia or thinks that it's not worthy of all the praise that it gets. I very well am one of those people who think it's worthy of most of the praise that it gets, because My Hero Academia is really breath of fresh air when it comes to shonen anime. This isn't to say that shonen anime from the classic age, or shonen anime from a more Bronze Age or Silver Age, whatever type of ages there is for shonen, that they haven't all had their good stuff, but they've also had their bad. Anyway, I don't like to ramble on. Let's go ahead and get into these points of contention so I can get this in and out the way, because I don't want to make this video any longer than it needs to be. I'm going to be clear, concise, and give as much factual information as I personally can. So we're going to go beat by beat with each point of contention. I'm going to sit here and just be completely debunking them because it is obviously ridiculous to assert these ideas. Anyway, let's go on with point number one.
Now, basically, his first point is to say that, oh yeah, you can't trust Goku because he wants to fight like every dude ever. This is simply not the case and untrue.
Of course, you got the other fandoms that decide, oh, no, fam, how dare you say My Hero Academia is best at anything? Don't you know that Goku is someone I would definitely trust more? Yeah, I definitely trust Goku. The guy that wants to pick fights with, like, everyone ever.
Most of the time in which Goku is regarded to fight someone is basically no real advent of his own, right? It's not like he is actually actively seeking to fight these individuals. He just happens to come across and fight them. Now, Goku does go out there and seek fights, but it takes getting to know the individual or having an understanding of the individual first, right? Dragon Ball isn't a super heavy research source, but they do enough research to basically showcase to you the idea that, hey, this is a character who's doing bad things, or this is a character who who needs to be stopped, or is it a character you just want to fight in general in order to be able to test yourself against? I mean, there's nothing wrong. Multiple shonens, including My Hero Academia, is also something that contributes to this. Anyway, moving on to the next point. If you've actually watched Dragon Ball, you know Goku doesn't want to fight every single solitary person, and whereas I can say this point is probably a bit more sarcastic in its delivery, and so it's not really a point to be taken too seriously, I can honestly point to the idea that anybody who actually thinks like this, that Goku's just actively trying to fight literally everything, is just kinda a bit of a brainlet, but it's very understandable why this point could easily be passed off as something that could definitely be considered the case. So it's not something I will dwell on too much, but yeah, it's just easy to refute, but also I can see where he's coming from with that, and I feel like this one's a little more sarcastic, so moving on to the next point.
To fight in these universe-destroying tournaments.
Okay, so going back to the whole universe-destroying tournaments, okay, no, Goku doesn't really actively go out there to try to seek and want to fight in these universe tournaments. The only reason why the whole Tournament of Power, which is actually what it's called, see again showcasing his lack of knowledge of Dragon Ball, and the reason that Tournament of Power happens is not that Goku is necessarily seeking a fight. He is invited to a fight, and after the tournament is over, he definitely seeks fight with, again, more of those strong opponents from different universes, but that, again, that's after the fact. Beforehand, Zeno, the character who's basically the Omni King, he's the god of all, was going to destroy the all universes, right? He was going to destroy every universe with a low mortal level, but thanks to Goku, thanks to Team Goku fighting the tournament, by the way, this tournament is the Universe 6 tournament, or the Universal Tournament. It's not that Goku wanted to fight in it, it's more or less that Beerus and Champa basically made a wager, and then they basically suggested Goku and Vegeta, and Goku and Vegeta are like, well, we kind of have no choice, really. And so they do end up fighting in it, and Goku doesn't mind because he likes fighting strong opponents, which isn't a bad thing. It's not that he's actually trying to go out there and fight other universes. It's more or less it was an opportunity that was presented to him. He ended up fighting in it, and basically Zeno, right, for the Tournament of Power, essentially saw that fight and was like, okay, I'm giving the mortals a chance to save themselves because this is a universe with low mortal levels, but they presented me with such grandiose entertainment that I was thoroughly pleased by it. So, in other words, Goku saved every universe. But again, this is just stuff from Dragon Ball you can easily look up. I mean, it's not very hard to find this information. Anyway, on the point of number 2, it's not something Nux Taku should be promoting because it definitely showcases a lack of knowledge in Dragon Ball.
Caused so much hell and destruction to befall the planet Earth by his existence there alone.
Ooh, now I know some people are going to try to say, well, this is a good point. I mean, even Goku himself kind of capitulates to the idea and this ideology that, well, maybe he is kind of like a problem when it comes to the relative safety of Earth. However, the whole idea, again, isn't necessarily relying on Goku's fault. Goku only really comes to that conclusion after basically seeing that this happened not necessarily because of him, but more or less because he was just there doing things. It's not even him existing, because if he existed and just stayed in the mountains and never met Bulma, everything would have happened normally. So it's not even really just him existing, right? The whole nature of him existing. Because again, this is why you get so many types of what ifs and fan mangas who have Goku in different scenarios to showcase you how the situation will unfold without him, and there's still problems that happen naturally by the conditions of the nature of the universe being Dragon Ball and the way the Dragon Ball universe operate. With or without Goku being there, stuff would pop off, stuff would happen regardless. Goku just happens to be involved a lot of the times with these situations. I mean, dealing with the Red Ribbon Army, not really his fault. Like, he only runs into them because they're after the Dragon Balls and they're evil for world domination. So I guess Nux Taku is trying to defend evil here. It's like Goku's not even actively trying to go out there and stop evil. He happens to run to it and he's like, okay, this is bad and I'm going to put a stop to it because, well, they're trying to hurt my friends, trying to kill my family, they're trying to take over the world, and I happen to be here to be able to stop it and also get what I need, because Goku is indeed a selfish hero, right? He's a selfish hero archetype where he really mainly cares about stuff that's important to him, and as long as he gives you that importance, he'll be willing to protect you and all that. And Nux Taku should actually, speaking of that, to kind of like deviate a little bit, Nux Taku should actually brought that up, because that would have been a great point of contention to say why you may not want to trust Goku so much, because if he doesn't extend his importance to you, right, he doesn't extend that morality onto you, then he probably not going to care about you as much. Like, if you get robbed at gunpoint, unless Gohan or Videl steps in, yeah, you're losing your money. I'm just going to be honest with you, because Goku's not going to go there and stop the bank robber, he's not going to go there and stop the person snatcher. So that would have been an actual great point of contention. However, the one that he's using doesn't really work, because it's kind of like Goku's just in these random situations, and he is stopped stopping evil by extension, right? When it comes to its ideology at the end of the Cell Saga, it's basically like, because, well, maybe one villain, pretty much one villain's like, hey, because you destroyed me, I'm going to get revenge. And even then, it's not really Goku's fault. It's more like he's manipulated into believing that a little bit. I mean, starting with Trunks coming back and saying, ha, you should have finished off Dr. Gero. He never met Dr. Gero. That's one thing that is kind of like a bit of a tism, because he never actually met Dr. Gero. He doesn't know who Dr. Gero is. He says he defeated the Red Ribbon Army, right? He explicitly says that, and as far as his knowledge goes, he did. He didn't know that Dr. Gero was planning revenge or whatever. That's not Goku's prerogative. That wasn't what he was there for. It wasn't what it was about. And then by extension, Dr. Gero then goes on to create the android, so that's a byproduct of, you know, Goku destroying them. But again, My Hero Academia suffers from this too, right? The whole rise in villains, especially after stuff dealing with Stain. So I mean, I don't get where you're coming from. It's like, do we trust these people? Do we trust people like All Might? Do we trust people like Miriam? I mean, people who have the same ideology, who could cause problems. I'm just saying, doesn't really seem like you kind of understand the whole nature of what heroes can cause, right? What's the side effect of somebody being a hero or committing to heroic action, right? There are consequences, and they can be negative or positive. For the most part, this isn't really Goku's fault a lot of the times, but I can understand a little bit here on this one, and so I'll try to back off as much as I can. But again, it's still pretty much easily refutable. It's not hill for Nux Taku here to die on.
That is a terrible father.
Stop it. Get some help.
Oh wow, the terrible father. I mean, he's just pulling out the cliches. This is what happens when you just sit there and scroll through Twitter or Facebook and you just look up stuff about Dragon Ball. You're like, man, you know the green guy who kidnapped Goku's kid and basically tortured and beat him for 6 months? Yeah, he's totally a better father than the guy who literally actively was in his son's life and raised him for over 5 years and protected and protected and cared for him before literally dying after saving the world and saving his life. Oh yeah, I guess because he sent his son to go and fight a monster. Ooh, that makes him such a bad father. Yeah, except they all would have died otherwise. I wonder, how do you justify that? Let everyone die, or send in the only person strong enough to fight this person to do the job? And then he ends up saving his son and saving the world again. But yeah, he's such a terrible father. I mean, the dude takes care. He basically is a part of the raising of his granddaughter. He also raises his second son, Goten. He teaches him the value of hard work and the value of being able to keep up the training, and also instilling in him protection, right? A type of protective mindset to want to protect the earth, especially after he's gone. But I guess he's just a terrible father. All these things like a terrible father. There's more reasons as to why this is such a joke of a thing to suggest that Goku's a terrible father, but I could make a whole video on that. Maybe I will someday in the future, but Goku's definitely not a terrible father. This is just a stupid point. Pretty much out of every point on this list, it's the most easily debunked thing ever. Because I legitimately can't find any reason as to why people would try to suggest or can even remotely prove without rebuttal why Goku is objectively a bad father. There's just nothing.
Only to fight strong opponents. Yes, this is the man that I would trust more than Mirio.
Yes, I love it! He's got nothing!
And then he finishes off with the whole idea that Goku only exists to basically fight. That's it? That's why you can't trust him? Okay, well, Miriam's whole existence was based around the idea that he was meant to get a specific power that ended up going to somebody else. Boom, can't trust him. It's like, that's ridiculous. If you want to sit there and bring it down to a simplistic level, that's ridiculous. Goku's whole existence was not created just so he can fight strong people. In fact, his original creation was more to be set in an adventure type style, because he's a parody character. He's a parody on Sun Wukong. That was the existence of his character. It only became about fighting later on. Even then, it's not always about fighting. It's not all about fighting. There's other character moments and character growth for Goku's character, different ideologies, yada yada yada. There's just so much more stuff that goes into it, and it's kind of ridiculous that you would even remotely suggest that this is his only existence. You try to promote this idea at basically a basic level like this. It's just disrespectful to him as a character. I mean, because I'm not gonna disrespect My Hero Academia, any of the heroes in there. Okay, I'm not gonna say like Deku was just made to take All Might's power so he can become the next hero of peace, right? Because that's disrespectful to him. It's simply not true. There's more to these characters than that. I'm not going to take All Might and say, oh, well, he's just a really strong guy. He only exists to pass on his ability to the next generation. He's Superman or whatever, okay? That's just ridiculous. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any points of contention that you want to bring up to me, go ahead. If you just think, hey, you know what? I respect your opinion. I disagree or agree. That's also fine too. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
Then, of course, the argument back is always, oh, but Goku could beat Mirio. Love this argument. Oh, my God.
Note. Okay, here's another thing New Taku is wrong about, and I'll let the Gummy Bear King be the prime example on this one. The idea being that Mirio being weaker than Goku is not the only or rather always the argument people counter with. To promote this idea in the way that New did is a complete dismissal of rational discourse and a terribly asinine way of combating counter-arguments made against the claims that you have made on a certain subject.
Yo, all you sucker MCs ain't got nothing on me. From my grades to my lines, you can't touch Kevin G. I'm a mathlete, the nerd isn't first, but forget what you heard. I'm like James Bond the Third. Shaking, not stirred, I'm Kevin the Poor. The G silent when I sneak in your door. Make love to your woman on the bathroom floor. I don't play it like Shaggy, you'll know it was me. Cause the next time you see her, she'll be like,